You know that feeling when you walk into a party, see a sleek glass door with a handful of bottles glinting under soft LEDs, and think, I could really use something like that at home. But I also don't want to spend a fortune on a piece that looks good, but ends up being a headache. That hesitation is real, especially when you're juggling limited kitchen space, a modest wine collection, and the desire for a unit that just works without you having to become a temperature control specialist. The last thing you need is a fancy cabinet that constantly flashes error codes or a door that lets too much light in and ruins your reds. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Summit VC28S is marketed as a fully integrated wine cellar that slips into a wall or a cabinet, promising a true luxury experience with a stainless steel trimmed glass door and recessed LED lighting. On paper, it sounds like the sort of thing you'd see in a boutique restaurant. But the real question is whether it delivers the everyday reliability you need when you're just trying to keep a handful of bottles at the right temperature and have them look nice when guests ask. First, let's talk about the kind of person who will get the most out of this 28-bottle unit. If you have a small to medium collection, say a dozen reds, a few whites, maybe a couple of sparkling bottles for special occasions, and you want a dedicated spot that doesn't dominate the kitchen, this model fits nicely. The classic wooden shelves are adjustable enough to accommodate the occasional oversized bottle, and the 28-bottle capacity means you won't outgrow it after a year or two. It's also a good match for renters or homeowners who want a built-in look without the cost and commitment of a full-size cellar. The glass door, double-pane tempered for UV protection, lets you showcase your collection without sacrificing the wine's integrity, which is a nice touch for people who enjoy the visual aspect of a wine display. Now, who should probably walk away? If you're a serious collector with a cellar that needs to hold 100 bottles or more, the 28-bottle limit will feel restrictive fast. Likewise, if you live in a climate that swings dramatically, think a basement that goes from 30°F in winter to 80°F in summer, you might need a unit with a more robust cooling system and higher temperature tolerance than what Summit's consumer-grade compressor can reliably provide. Finally, if you're on a very tight budget, the integrated look and stainless steel trim come at a premium price point that some might find hard to justify when a basic freestanding wine fridge could do the job for less. What really matters after you click Add to Cart is how the unit behaves on a day-to-day basis. The digital controls are straightforward. A single knob lets you set the temperature anywhere between 40°F and 65°F, and the display is clear enough that you can glance at it while cooking. I've seen enough kitchen appliances where you have to scroll through menus just to change the set point, so this simplicity is a genuine relief. The recessed LED lighting is dim enough that it doesn't heat the interior, yet bright enough to make the bottles pop when you open the door. In practice, that means you can pull a bottle out during a dinner party without fumbling for a flashlight or worrying you've raised the internal temperature. The double-pane tempered glass door is the unsung hero of the design. Many wine cabinets use single-pane glass that lets in UV rays, which can gradually mute the flavors of delicate reds and whites. With this unit, the extra pane acts like a mini sunscreen for your wine, and the tempered glass also adds durability. No one wants a door that shatters the first time a curious child leans on it. I've noticed that the door seals tightly, so there's minimal temperature drift when you open it for a quick bottle grab. That's a practical win because it reduces the workload on the compressor and helps keep the energy bill in check. Speaking of energy, the VC28S isn't the most efficient model on the market, but it's not a power hog either. Because the interior volume is relatively small, the compressor doesn't have to work as hard to maintain a steady temperature, especially if you keep the unit in a climate-controlled part of the house. If you plan to place it in a hot attic or near a stove, you'll see the temperature fluctuate more, which could make the unit run continuously and raise electricity costs. So placement is a hidden trade-off. The more stable the ambient environment, the smoother the performance. One practical weakness that shows up once the unit is installed is the weight of the glass door. It's sturdy, which is great for protection, but it does feel heavier than a typical acrylic panel. If you have limited upper body strength or anticipate opening the door many times a night, say you're hosting a wine tasting, there's a slight learning curve to get the swing just right.